So, Penny and I want to say welcome. Lovely to have you here on this Wednesday afternoon. We're going to be doing a short presentation just to give you insight so that you can also make a list of questions and we can answer the questions afterwards and you can make an informed decision to see whether this is in fact something that you want to do. My name is Ken Annandale and Penny and I started IntraSafe, gosh, how many years ago? About 12 years ago.
More than 12.
With the specific intention of assisting people to set up their own training departments and or training companies. I come out of a training environment. I was with NOSA for a couple of years, and then I ran a company called INTRA Train, and that was for about 7 years. And I realized that was not an easy thing to start up a company as an SMME. At that time, there were no digital devices, so it was honestly, you'd have to write to people, visit people, call on people like accountants and attorneys and advisors and people like that. And Penny and I realized that we can help people overcome a lot of that and get up and running a lot quicker than if they had to spend 7 years setting a business together. So that's what this is all about. It's going to be a fairly detailed presentation, and it goes hand in hand with the document that we call the prospectus. In the meantime, I just need to mention to you, I'm not a lawyer. I love the legislation. I have a great deal of fun reading the legislation and trying to unpack it, but I don't have the insights of an attorney. So if you do need an attorney, it is advisable that you actually get hold of one. I can make a recommendation if you want, but SAOSH, the South African Institute of Occupational Health and Safety, or Safety and Health, they have an attorney there. So that's our advice to you. Okay, so you've got an invitation from Natalie, and she's going to introduce herself shortly. And in the invitation, it's become a health and safety training advisor. It spoke a little bit of things like QCTO, spoke about accreditation, and that's what we're going to unpack right now. Basically, what we do is we offer various solutions for various people that want, depending on their specific needs, want to be able to do training, whether legal compliance or accredited training, and also offer opportunity to work with us on our e-learning platform. So at this stage, I'm going to just quickly ask Natalie to introduce herself so that you know who she is, and then I'm going to ask Penny to introduce herself.
Hi everyone, I'm Natalie and I'm the CRM manager. So I'm usually your first point of contact on your journey to becoming an INTRA licensee. I'm your go-to for all your initial questions, anything that you need. I'm here and I'll share my details with you in the chat. So if you have any questions, you can reach out to me directly. Thanks so much for your time today.
Fantastic. Now I'm going to ask Penny just to quickly introduce herself.
So hi everybody, my name is Penny and I am Ken's partner and also wife. And together with Ken, we co-founded IntraSafe some 12 years ago. I am more on the finance side of the business and the delivery side of the business. I also support the e-learning platform and have since January of last year been intensely involved with the accreditation do-it-yourself workshops and preparing the do-it-yourself AccrediPac Google Drive folder. So that's me in a nutshell, and back to Ken.
So something Penny did not mention, she's been in small business longer than I have, so she has a very good handle on what it's like to run a business, make money, and in some instances, make a profit. And that's going to be the objective, is that you make actually not just turnover, but you want to make a profit. Okay, let's jump straight into it and talk about the opportunity. The opportunity is that in South Africa, we have almost 17 million employees that need to be trained. And we know that the majority of those employees are covered by the Occupational Health and Safety Act, the OHSA, and its regulations. And we know that for organizations such as companies, they spend a lot of money on training. And obviously, those of you that want to set up a training business, there's money to be spent over there. And health and safety is not cheap, as you know. We also know that it's criminal, and this is dealt with by the Department of Employment and Labour, in as much as it's criminal legislation, and you could, in fact, be charged, prosecuted, and land up in court, and you could be jailed, in fact. Wow, it's quite a hectic thought. And this is something that many employers are concerned about. They want to comply. And obviously, one of our jobs is to help employers comply, keep them out of court. But on the other hand, we also want to keep employees out of hospital, because we know the amount of injuries that take place both in South Africa as well as around the world. It's horrendously expensive and incredibly disruptive for societies and organizations and countries and so forth. And this isn't a local problem. This is an international problem as well. So those almost 17 million people have to be trained in terms of the Occupational Health and Safety Act to a greater or lesser degree. We have other legislation as well in South Africa, such as the Mines Health and Safety Act, and that deals with probably close to about 500,000 to 700,000 employees. So you can see the Occupational Health and Safety Act is the predominant piece of legislation and creates a wonderful opportunity for those who want to go into the training game. Okay, so why do I say everybody should be trained? Well, the law says so. And I'll show you exactly where the law says every single employee must be trained. You may or may not know Section 8 of the Occupational Health and Safety Act. It's the employer's duties. And there are 3 things that it says that the employer must do. So step 1, he or she must establish the hazards attached to the work performed. So that's step 1. Once he or she knows what the hazards are, then they must write precautionary measures or safe work procedures. And those safe work procedures would then obviously be documented. Step 2. Then step 3, the employer must ensure that information, instruction, training, and supervision is provided. Interesting that they use 3 words there, and this comes up in the Act and in regulations: information, instruction, training, and supervision. So step 1, hazards; step 2, precautionary measures; and step 3, information, instruction, and training. Now, we'll unpack these as we go along, and particularly during our orientation sessions, we unpack them in detail. I'll be doing that tomorrow for those that are already licensees, and it's a session where we'll talk about what the law requires in terms of both the letter and the spirit of the law. Okay, then it carries on with Section 13, and that's where it says every employee must be made conversant. Every means all, allemaal, ieder en elk. And that means that it's an opportunity for you, if you're going to be setting up a training business, to consult with and then obviously assist employers so that their employees are made conversant. The word conversant is interesting. We'll unpack that one. And then you can see those precautionary measures. So in the training session, the employee must get to know what precautions they must take and get the detail of it. Now, getting into training, I'm sure you've considered it. Do I need to be accredited? Must I be approved? Must I be registered? Must I be certified? Must I be licensed? What must I do? What must I do? And we'll be talking about that. I've just finished writing an article which will be published as a blog article on this very thing about accreditation and what employers want from you, the training provider. So we'll unpack that. We'll look at what the Constitution says. We'll see what the Act says. And then, of course, you will then have sufficient information to go ahead. Okay, then with competency training, we realize that this comes up in the legislation, and in particular, it's dealt with in the regulations. Now, we know that CETA and QCTO use the word competency, and let's have a look at what the law says straightforward. So we've got regulations, and there are numerous regulations, and some of them are very clear where it says that competency is the outcome. That's what they want if the person is to be trained. So only 4 regulations that is that clear. There are more, like the asbestos and explosives and so forth. But general safety regulation for first aid, driven machinery regulation for forklifts and things like that, construction regulation for working at heights, all of these need competency. But then we're going to hit some very interesting, peculiar things. In as much as some of the regulations say competency is required, but there's never been a unit standard, or there's no QCTO curriculum or code. You go, well, how can competency be measured if there's nothing against which to measure it? So we'll explain all of that. And this is one of the idiosyncrasies of the legislation. This is what the law says a competent person should be. It says a person who has in respect to the work or task to be performed the required knowledge, training, experience, and where applicable, qualifications. Then they talk about the NQF, that's the National Qualification Framework, and it says that these qualifications must be regarded as the required qualification. And I've just mentioned that in some instances, there is no unit standard, which is really, so the law says one thing and SACWA isn't caught up. However, there's also another thing here, and I see this as opportunity. So if you look at where the definition in paragraph B, it says not only must you do the training of that specific thing, let's take ergonomics as an example, you must also train the employee who's to be competent in the act. So it's 2 courses. And from a business point of view, go, hooray, hurrah, wonderful, that's fantastic. How about that? And the regulation. So let's just talk ergonomics. You're going to teach the person ergonomics. Every employer must be taught ergonomics.
Every employee.
Every employee, that's right, thanks, Penny. And every employee must also be familiar with the Act. And every employee must be familiar with the applicable regulation. What's that? That's 3 sessions. That's a really good business. However, employees often don't get the best training. And sometimes it's just a short talk or something like it, which is not in their interest. It's useful, but not in their interest. Now, what happens if it doesn't take place? Now, once again, we saw there every, now here we go, any. Look at that. And if we don't do it right, any includes you. You, the training provider. So be aware of that. Shall be guilty of an offence and on conviction be liable to a fine not exceeding 50,000 rand. Wow. So you'll start understanding there's the letter of the law and there's the spirit of the law. And we operate in South Africa with the rule of law. But you may know that there's been discussion that they want to change the OHSA, and they have introduced a bill called the Amendment Bill. And the Amendment Bill is apparently, according to the Inspector General, she said that it's going to be on the President's table this year. Natalie and I were at the SARS conference in Cape Town in August, and she mentioned that she was a keynote speaker, and it is something that you should take into account. But once again, I'm talking opportunity. Here's the opportunity. Look, any person who, then it carries on, and it says in the Amendment Bill now in 2025, that the fines are going to possibly go up to 5 million rand, not just 50,000. So there's going to be a rush for information, instruction, training, education around the Amendment Bill. And you could be ready for that, and we will help you get ready. We've got the material to a degree. I was working on a SARS committee and was privy to the Amendment Bill in its discussion phase. Okay, so enough of that. Let's just move on. So what do? Well, we have these solutions and we believe they could work for you. The first thing that we say to you is that you are allowed to offer legal compliance training. Let me say that again. You are allowed to offer legal compliance training, and that without accreditation or approval. So we'll deal with this as phase 1. And there we go. Got the picture in the wrong spot there. But we've been around teaching people, helping people, guiding people for a long time now. And it's more than 10 years that we've been doing that. And we've had dozens and dozens and dozens of people that we've assisted. We then realized that we need to put together a business model, and we called it a license. And the license is then permission to use our systems and our training material specifically to save you that time and effort and energy. And we'll be talking about that and unpack that. This business model is not a franchise. It's similar to a franchise, but it's not. And that's for a good reason. We've got legal advice on that. But a lot of the detail that I'm going to miss in this presentation, you'll find in this document called the prospectus. So you'll be able to get your copy from Natalie if she hasn't already sent it to you. If you don't already have it, please let her know that you need a copy of the prospectus. We've just updated it today, and there was a small change that took place as a result of things happening in the QCTO world. So that's my recommendation. As part of the licenses, we've got 5 different licenses. So it starts at Platinum, it goes to Prime, it goes to Basic, Starter, and Fast Track. And you can see it's sort of almost a development process. If you work from Fast Track is first aid, Starter is just getting your toe in the water. Basic is I want to be a fully functional legal compliance trainer. Prime is full package and includes accreditation. And then we've got the Platinum package as well. So having said that, let's just have a look at some of these things. So the Prime is all of those elements in white. You get everything. Then we go to Basic. For the Basic, you get all the elements in white, but not the elements in orange or gold or yellow. Not sure we're going to call that color. So I'm sure you understand that. You get less. Then for Starter, you get the elements in white. And then for Fast Track, which is first aid, you get the elements in white. Hope that makes sense to you. And we'll unpack that. All of that's in the prospectus document. I know that there's some people that just want to do first aid training, nothing else. So that's where the Fast Track comes in. And I think we've got Janine with us today as well. Janine, welcome. Nice to have you with us. Okay, so with the Fast Track, we'll unpack it for you. We'll help you set up so that you can actually do your own first aid training. There are hoops and hurdles. There are things that you have to comply with, both in terms of the regulation as well as in terms of QCTO. So from there, you now have an understanding of that. We've got these training solutions, and they are detailed in the prospectus. And then, of course, what we're going to suggest you do is get the prospectus printed and go through it with a highlighter, and then draw up a list of questions. Okay, then once you've decided which way you want to go, we're going to welcome you on board. Penny's going to do an onboarding session with you. I'll do orientation on a monthly basis, and we'll mentor you as and when you need assistance. Within reason, we don't take calls after dark, but if you have any needs,
we certainly try and be accessible. Yes, reasonable access.
And we suggest that you put our numbers onto your WhatsApp, onto your phone, and you can WhatsApp us and provide us with questions and insights and things of that nature. Okay, then because you're going to be in business, you also recognize that marketing is something that many people are not familiar with. So Natalie's going to just quickly explain what she does by way of helping you set up your marketing. She has a degree from UCT in media, and if you're on the Prime license, is it Basic and Prime?
Basic and Prime.
Basic and Prime license. You get this as part of the service. So Natalie, would you like to just quickly take over?
Yeah, sure. You didn't see my message. I was just saying I needed to get the prospectus onto the website quickly.
Oh, okay. No problem at all.
So yeah, as mentioned, the service is included in the basic and the prime license packages. Essentially, I give you some time just to help get you set up and present on a couple of platforms that we feel are really important to just offer you visibility and credibility. I also provide you with a training on how you can best utilize these platforms, and I give you a wealth of resources and tools that you can tap into to really help boost your marketing presence. So you get a lot from this. It can be really, really beneficial, regardless of whether you are using someone to help you with marketing, and then especially if you are doing this on your own.
And Natalie has really helped dozens of licensees get this entire aspect up and running. And then if you need additional services, such as you need a website or things of that nature, she can make recommendations for you. So she doesn't do that. And we have a digital marketing company that assists us, but it honestly has made us quite prominent. When you search our name and you search some of our products on the internet, we come up right at the top on Google, which is really exciting. Okay, then we've also got a situation where we started looking at this whole e-learning thing probably during the COVID time, and Penny is the custodian of our e-learning platform. So Penny, over to you.
Yes, so the e-learning platform, initially what we do is we do like a profit share, if you like, with our licensees. So you don't have to go to the full expense of running your own e-learning platform yet. You can work together with us, and it works extremely well. We charge you like a wholesale rate, if you like, for each learner, for each course, and you can charge your client a retail rate. So you're pocketing the difference. We take care of the onboarding. We take care of submitting the weekly or bi-weekly reports that you might need just to track learners' progress. And you would really be involved in terms of actively dealing with your client and making sure that you've planned out the e-learning that needs to take place. It's extremely effective and helpful if you're dealing with clients who have small amounts of people that need to be trained all over the country. So it wouldn't make economic sense for you personally or any of your team to actually travel just for that few amount of learners. But it's so easy for you to be able to tick box this legal compliance requirement in terms of the e-learning. So working extremely well. It's a great way for you to add and scale your business so that you are earning additional funds every month. And you can plan it. You know, at the moment, everybody's preparing their WSPs for submission at the end of April. You can plan it now together with your clients over the next 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, so that those they want to have develop a little bit of a career path. And this is what it's designed for. Ken has designed it in such a way that it actually copes with the most important health and safety subjects. We do have a special trademarked certificate that we issue if you have successfully completed each and every course. It's called the HASMAN, and this is evolving into sort of like a health and safety management certificate going forward. Back to Ken.
Thanks, Penny. And QCTO favor e-learning. So this is something that you can do, take advantage of, as Penny said, but we'll provide you with lots more information as we go along. Okay, then we're in a situation where we've got legal compliance training material. And Penny mentioned it's sort of a career plan and development plan and so forth. You do, as a provider, you do a needs analysis with your client. You identify which of these programs would work for them. There are 24 programs. You can look at those over there, and they are regarded as legal compliance programs. Now, what do I mean by legal compliance? If the law says do the training, you do the training. That's as simple as that. If the law says to the employer, your people must be trained in dangers, hazards, and risks, it's a legal compliance. You don't have to go through QCTO. You don't have to go through SACWA, CETA, or NQF, any of those sorts of things. But just looking at that list over there, I'm sure there are some of those programs that you know your clients would like and need, and programs that you can do specifically for them. This also applies to those of you that are outside of South Africa. So we have a number of licensees that are in other countries around Africa, and you don't have to worry about either the legislative stuff or alternatively the accreditation. Let's have a look at the other 12 we've got there. So there's fire and first aid and food safety, health and safety rep, HAZChem, which is hazardous chemical agents, IRA, Inductor, InvestTrack, and so forth. So looking at those lists, that list there, you'll find them in the prospectus. You'll be able to tick them off, determine whether this is something that you could do. And as some of the licenses, you can get a part of this or you can get all of it. And we'll talk about that in a moment. Okay. Excuse me. You can also, if you find that the license, you're not ready for the license yet, you can buy this online on our website. We've got a shop, and it's sort of a typical credit card kind of thing. Go there, select something, use something, buy something more, build a library and things of that nature. So don't hesitate to do that. So with that, we know that there's going to be a lot of new courses coming out in the near future. We know because QCTO has been talking to us, and we've been talking to QCTO, and we know that we will grow this list of 24 to probably 60, 70 programs over the next year or two or three. And that's exciting. Very, very exciting. That means that you don't have to sit and write this training material. You don't have to research it. You don't have to develop it, but you get it in a Word for Windows format. And that Word for Windows format then allows you to customize it and modify it and do whatever adaptations the client requires, or alternatively, you see as logical. Now, I'm going to use a quick example here with the Inductor. The Inductor program comes with a video, and that video is, in fact, very, very useful. It's broken up into different sections so that you can embed it into the PowerPoint. So you could start, talk, then move on to the next element, discuss it. It comes with a pocket booklet. It comes with a learner guide, facilitator guide, and so forth. So really exciting. The video is professionally shot, and it's something that I'm quite proud of because we've only done the one video so far, and it really has been very, very useful. Natalie, I see that there's questions and the like in the chat box, if you could start looking at that. Then you're in a position, once you've done legal compliance training, to issue a certificate. And whatever you're going to call it, just don't call it a certificate of competency, because that, at the moment, is something that QCTO regards as their term. Although it's in the Act, and although you can find competency and mentioned all over the place, there's actually a regulation called the Certificate of Competency. But you can issue a certificate of compliance or attendance or participation, or you can issue it, and we will give you a template like this as part of the package so that you can generate your own certificates, or alternatively, you just get your art department or artist to make a certificate for you. Then we've got a lot of training material that's part of the SACWA unit standard aligned training material. We've got about 52 programs there. So you get 24 legal compliance, and you've got all these SACWA programs. Now, it is true to say that if you're not CETA accredited, you cannot become CETA accredited. So let's quickly say that again. If you're not CETA accredited, it's too late. You have to go the route of QCTO. And Penny and I will guide you through that journey. It's a bit of a rocky journey at the moment, but we will the Afrikaans have a nice saying called doenbaar. That's doenbaar. We can do it.
Definitely doenbaar.
But we've got all these training programs and all this training material which you can actually use, modify, update, and then present to your clients.
And true that the SACWA unit standards, most of them have been extended.
Yeah, absolutely. I went too far there. Okay, now let's talk about phase 2. And phase 2 is where you start offering accredited training. This is really important. We're going to talk you through this process because this is where the future's at. So I'm sure you know that there's been this transition from CETA to QCTO, and Penny will be working with you on that. Once you become a licensee, her knowledge and insight into this process is really remarkable, and she's got a small team that she works with on this very thing. So you may or may not know that in June of 2023, Department of Higher Education cancelled all the unit standards. There was something like 11,000 unit standards that were cancelled. And then there was an outcry. And then they reverted and they sort of extended it and they said, fine, those unit standards, you can run them. If you're accredited for them, you can run them up to June of 2026. Is that right, Penny?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so it's important that you get to know this stuff. And this article that I've just written, you can go through it, have a look at it, obviously provide you with a bit more information, but you can also go onto the SACWA website. You'll see the top URL there, allqs.sacwa.org.za, and you can see whether the unit standard has been extended or not. There are some unit standards that are and have been extended, other unit standards that are not and will not be extended again. Then, of course, QCTO has been tasked with developing not unit standards, they call them curricula and codes to replace the unit standards. So this is another website over there. You can grab your phone, just take a shot or do a screenshot of these URLs, or ask Natalie to send you the URL, and you can go and see what's available. Now, QCTO has a lot of qualifications that are available. However, very few are for short course health and safety programs. And when I say very few, it's a handful. You can count it. You can count it on one hand, actually. Okay, those are the programs that we have currently.
So you can see with the qualifications for health and safety, there's a number. There's actually a new OHSA practitioner. There's a new revised version of the OHSA practitioner. But our big focus is always on the short course industry for health and safety. That's really where we're at. At the moment, there's 3. There is your emergency first aid responder basic, your intermediate, and your advanced. So for first aid, definitely we can help you 100%. We are waiting currently for another 12 OHS skills programs to be published. They have been developed. I think they were out for final comment at the end of last year. We don't know exactly when they will be available. We are hoping as soon as possible because I have so many licensees that want to get accredited against those. But hopefully it's going to be March, April, we're not sure. Behind them is another 10 or so curriculums that are waiting for curriculum numbers to be allocated, and then they will be developed during the course of this year. And I think this is something that we're going to look at for the next couple of years, 3, 4 years, 5 years, this huge development on the QCTO side to answer the requirements for health and safety skills programs. And of course, generically, they have a massive, massive demand for so many different courses. But for us in health and safety, there is a massive need. We are sitting in a vacuum situation. And this is why, as well, it's necessary for you to have the correct information so that you can educate your clients and explain to them that there is nothing available currently in the QCTO, and therefore legal compliance training is definitely going to be the solution, definitely going to be the way forward for now. We are recommending as many of our licensees as possible that are interested in the first aid to definitely get that one done. If you get your applications in promptly before the end of March, you'll also avoid the new QCTO tariffs for accreditation that we are expecting those to become real and in
April.
Yes, as from the beginning of April. We're waiting for final confirmation. There has been some kickback against it, but we're waiting to hear final confirmation. So if you move very quickly and first aid is your thing, or it's part of a suite of courses that you want to be able to present, then definitely move as quickly as possible and we'll be able to help you 100%. We've already got many licensees that have gone through the process successfully and gone through the whole site visit, etc., successfully with the INTRA training material. So what we did is we designed a do-it-yourself program. The reason for this is that we really wanted to help our licensees be equipped and empowered so that they could save as much money and time as possible going forward. So we've put together the AccrediPac, which is extensive in terms of all the templates and checklists, and you've got a QMS template, you've got a business plan template, you've got the SLA templates, MOUs, OHS audit templates, etc., etc. It's all there. But we also combine that with a monthly do-it-yourself workshop where I go through everything and also introduce you to members of the backup team, if you like, who are able to help you in different areas. So, you know, I'm certainly not alone. I'm working together with a great team, and we can point you in the right direction so that you know clearly what to do in terms of your phase 1 application with QCTO and phase 2, etc. Very important to know exactly what to expect up front. So you understand before you even start, these are kind of timelines involved, and also to understand that once you start your online application, you better be organized and you better be ready in terms of your site visit preparation, because the one can follow very quickly on the other and catch you unprepared. And we definitely want you to be fully prepared. So a lot of great information. It's working well. We've had a lot of compliments coming back. We're constantly evolving. We're constantly adding more information as we get more information and feedback from our licensees and from QCTO and from other lobbying bodies. And we keep you up to date with the latest templates and the latest information at all times.
Great. So you can see there's a number of elements to this license package. We call them licenses because that's not a franchise. And I see we've got a couple of new guests that have joined us. Thank you so much. Welcome. Nice to have you with us. For the new guests, we've been recording this as well. So we'll put this onto YouTube this evening, and you'll be able to check out all the information that you feel you may have lost out on at this stage. Don't worry, you can catch up on that. So we then work with you on an ongoing basis as a licensee. You literally get the opportunity of attending the webinars, new course launches, product description, and we unpack them for you. So there's a lot of stuff that happens. We've got a YouTube channel, which is very, very useful. And those are some of the videos that we've actually recorded already. And you as a licensee will have access to that as a private channel. And it means that there's stuff that is not available to those who are not licensees. And it's quite exclusive. And there's a lot of information that will be coming as well. We spoke very briefly about the amendment bill. We did a whole host of programs on the amendment bill when it was still a hot topic. Then it quietened down, cooled down, and now we know that it's going to start picking up again. But enough of that. We work in South Africa predominantly. We're based in Mauritius. Interestingly enough, you could just see it next to Madagascar. And many of our clients are in Africa.
And this is, I think, one of the huge value of being an INTRA licensee is that you're able to network with so many very, very experienced and fully accredited and verified and certified and licensed, etc., specialists in different areas of health and safety licensees. So even in South Africa, you know, if you just focusing specifically in South Africa, maybe you are based in one geographical area and you want to service a client who is a national client, you are then able to partner with other licensees in different areas in South Africa. We put out a notice for you and they contact you pretty promptly, actually. Normally you get answers within the same day. And so you're able to actually scale the kind of clients that you're dealing with. If you are in a situation where you're waiting to be able to do your own accreditation, but you do need first aid, for example, or you do need working at heights where legally it is specified that it must be SACWA accredited training, you can then link up with licensees that already have their QCTO accreditation and or they still have valid CETA accreditation, because I think we had about 90% of our licensees did their CETA accreditation when that was the only option going forward. So you have this great opportunity to expand what you are able to offer to your clients. Don't just be limited to your own understanding of what you are personally are able to present or you personally are expert in. This is a massive advantage.
Big advantage. And you're going to find that you suddenly need a facilitator to do a certain course.
Yes.
You don't have the skill set for it, such as the advanced first aid. You need to be, to run the advanced course, you need to be registered with the Health Professional Council of South Africa. So maybe you can do level 1 and 2 or basic and intermediate, but to get somebody to do advanced, they will need to be HPCSA. And in our stable, if you like, in our network, we have lots of people that are registered with HPCSA.
Great.
Okay, so hopefully you can see that. It's almost like you come on board and you've immediately got a family or a group of people that you could work with.
So just to talk about the costs involved, if you really want to purchase everything up front, including the IP, all of the training material, etc., and a full IP release, you're looking at just on $500,000. Now, we appreciate that you might just not have $500,000 sitting available in your bank account right now. And that is why we've broken it down into different licenses. So the one that's most popular for corporates or multi-branch companies, both in South Africa and maybe internationally as well, would be the Platinum. And that gives them a full access to everything that we offer, and a limited IP release so that they can deal with multiple branches and multiple facilitators. So if that's you and you're a big company, this would be what you would need to talk to us about. And we really do look forward to chatting to you individually. I know this is really we're kind of chatting and giving you a lot of information, but we do enjoy meeting you individually and just understanding your own vision and your own path and what you're looking at achieving. Then the Prime licenses are most popular. So this includes a monthly subscription and an upfront fee. So the upfront fee, as you can see there, that's an VAT inclusive price. And the monthly subscription is 1,500 plus VAT. And that is a full delivery, plus you have access to the full accreditation support for QCTO. So that definitely, if you are interested in accreditation with QCTO, this is the one to go for. And it's going to keep you equipped in terms of the new QCTO training material for health and safety going forward.
So we don't charge you extra for that. So the moment you develop something, you just get it. You get a notice saying you want it.
It's in your Google Drive, this one.
Precisely.
Okay, so for the basic, this is for those of you, maybe you've already got your QCTO accreditation, so you don't need to worry about that, but you're just looking to expand your legal compliance training materials, and you're looking for maybe better quality to add to those that you already have. So the basic would give you access to all the INTRA originals, legal compliance training materials, and very, very high quality, all with PowerPoints, etc. So you can literally prepare today and present tomorrow, and you will look like a rock star in the classroom. So that's also a great solution. And remember, with each and every one of these, when you want to upgrade, we actually deduct and give you a full credit for what you've already paid against the next one's upfront fee. So that really works well. So for basic and prime, there's a monthly license fee. Why is that important? Is the basic, as with the prime, for new training materials, you collect those free of charge as you go forward. Then the starter is for those of you that might just want to do a toe in the water for the moment, just want to see and understand the quality of some of the original legal compliance training materials, and maybe just experiment with a few of the e-learning courses just so that you could see how that could work. So that's a very popular option and very cost effective. Once again, remember, it's a stepping stone. So when you want to upgrade to basic or to prime, you will be able to do that, and you get a full credit for what you've already spent. Fast track is very popular at the moment because, at the moment we only have the QCTO first aid skills programs available. So it's the only one that we have at the moment. So for those of you that are really focused on first aid, this would be the one to go for possibly at the beginning if you didn't want to go for the full prime. And that would give you access to the QCTO first aid training material, as well as the do-it-yourself accreditation support and workshops and Google Drive, etc.
For those of you that have already been quoted for Fast Track, you'll notice that there is a slight difference in price. So in other words, the quote that you got was the special. We had a Black Friday special in the beginning, and then we had a sort of a New Year special. So this is just the regular price of 14,375 Rand. And then, of course, you can also acquire the training material as individual objects. I said you can go online.
Yes, so very reasonably priced at just 2,995, including VAT per training material. So maybe there's just one specifically that you want to add to your collection right now. This would be an ideal solution for you. You can either purchase these directly from our website, or if you do need an invoice or to run it as an EFT payment, by all means, you can ask Natalie to give you an invoice for those.
Great. Let's quickly wrap up. And thank you, Penny. You've done a great job here. Let me just quickly talk you through the next steps. So if you decide I want to become a prime, you go, right, let's confirm your license, let Natalie know. Obviously, she'll provide you with a quotation and then an invoice. And once you receive the invoice, payment is made. We immediately start with the onboarding and the delivery, things of that nature. We start and invite you to the orientation. If any of you are interested in joining us tomorrow, we'll happily send you the URL so that you can come on the orientation session. But to do that, you just need to indicate that you want to be you specifically want to be a licensee. So then it's a matter of starting. And what do I mean by starting? Well, you start customizing. We'll show you how to do it. All the material you'll get in Word for Windows and PowerPoint. Then you start your marketing, as we've spoken to you about, kind of like alluded to. Then start your training. We'll talk you through all of this in the orientation process. And then you start earning and or saving. So I see Penny wants to quickly say something.
No, look, I mean, obviously, we really want you to be profitable from the outgo, but also there's just such a massive need for decent health and safety training. I was looking at a global report which was issued recently. It comes out every 2 years. And it was some ridiculously shocking figure of millions and millions of people around the world that have suffered fatal accidents, etc. And the number one reason that they gave was an inadequate health and safety training. So in South Africa, we have the same situation. They don't even publish the figures in South Africa, but we really have a massive, massive need for quality health and safety training. And legal compliance training has to be done today. There's no employer that can wait 6 months, 12 months for QCTO to have something available. It's got to be done today. So this is why it's very, very important to equip yourself to make sure that you can deliver the legal compliance training when you're dealing with any and all clients.
Well, I'm sure you can see the opportunity. And we talk about health and safety training solutions. And we've created this range of products which you can plug into at whatever level you're ready for it. Obviously, if you want to get your QCTO accreditation application in, Prime is where you're going to start. Either Prime or Fast Track, so you can get it up and running. Know this, that QCTO is already starting to wobble a little bit in terms of the volumes of applications that are coming through. And we know for a fact that it's going to get busier and busier and busier as we go along. Okay, the last thing that I'd like to ask you to do is just grab your phone, take a photograph of that telephone number there, that WhatsApp number. That's Natalie's business WhatsApp, 082 499 6911, 082 499 6911. Just send her the word quote and maybe your name and details, and then she will connect directly with you just to indicate that you are on her radar, and she'll provide you with documentation. I said to you earlier on, if you can get your hands onto a copy of the prospectus, to please print it and then draw up a list of questions. But what we're going to do now is we're going to stop the recording, and then we'll just open the microphones and you can ask questions here as well. I see there's a number of messages in the chat box. So from Penny and myself and Natalie, I want to say thank you so much for joining us. If you happen to be watching this video and you aren't here in the live meeting, we look forward to connecting with you and helping you make the health and safety training game part of your life. So there we go. Penny, over to you.
Excellent. Yes, we definitely look forward to speaking to you individually, and just understanding your personal vision, etc., and maybe guiding you a little bit as to a way forward. So, I mean, this option is, of course, fantastic if you are looking at a brand new venture. But more importantly, if you're already an established health and safety service provider, this can definitely add massive value to your business, and it's going to save you a lot of time and frustration, and money, of course. And for those of you that are corporates and you're looking at developing and expanding your in-house training facilities, especially in the area of health and safety, this would make massive sense. And of course, it would be an incredible opportunity to cut your budget. So with that, we look forward to meeting you and to answering your questions.
So don't go away. I'm going to stop the recording and then we're going to open the mics.